This is Dr. Kamel again, and the new content related to the physical therapy license exam preparation. My name is Dr. Kamel, if you didn't see any of my videos before, and I work as Associate Professor of Physical Therapy in the United States. I am a licensed physical therapist in a number of states across the US and also in the UK and Egypt. I have got my PhD from University of Nottingham from the UK. So let's go and see what is today's question or content. A physical therapist is working with a patient who is learning a new motor skill. As a patient progresses from the cognitive stage to the autonomous stage of motor learning, which type of feedback is expected to increase? We are dealing with patients who might have stroke, traumatic brain injury, or whatever, and this would affect their cognitive ability, motor ability, functional ability, and we do motor retraining or motor re-education for those patients. So we need to understand the stages of motor learning. Okay. So our patient is improving from the cognitive stage to the autonomous stage, which is higher on the hierarchy of stages in motor learning. Which type of feedback is expected to increase? Tactile feedback, visual feedback, intrinsic feedback, or verbal feedback? And we need to understand the difference between these types of feedback. So what is the correct answer? The correct answer is intrinsic feedback. Intrinsic feedback means something coming from the subject himself or herself. So motor learning typically progresses through three stages mainly. Okay. And this was described in the Fitz and Posner three-stage model. So we have three stages: cognitive stage, number one, then associative stage, then autonomous stage. Okay. In cognitive stage, there is dependence or reliance on external or extrinsic feedback. So as an instructor, as a therapist, or whatever, giving extrinsic feedback. This might include verbal cues. So, okay, you need to, raise your foot, raise your leg, stuff like that, verbal cues. Visual demonstrations, you are trying to do the movement in front of the patient, and the patient is trying to repeating after you have demonstrated the motion. And manual guidance. Okay. At this stage, the cognitive stage, which is the initial one, there is a possibility of high errors, okay, and inconsistent performance. We understand that. Later on, there will be the associative stage, which is higher, decreasing reliance or dependence on external feedback. There will be improved in consistency and also in error detection. And the patient will start to use internal cues, not fully developed, but the patient will start to have or use internal cues. Okay. And the most advanced one is the autonomous stage. Skills become automatic. People who are driving cars, when they reach to the autonomous stage, they don't think much about where is the brake, where is the driving wheel, stuff like that. People who are playing music on piano is the same. This is the autonomous stage. There is minimal need for external feedback and primary reliance or dependence on intrinsic feedback. So now I have mentioned intrinsic feedback, extrinsic feedback. What is the difference? Intrinsic feedback comes from the patient's own sensory systems: proprioception, vision, vestibular input. Okay, and this should improve as the skill proficiency increases. Okay, and with that, it is this type of feedback or intrinsic feedback is essential for long-term motor control and independence later on. Extrinsic feedback, tactile, visual, verbal. A therapist is giving this feedback or environment, and it is most useful in early learning stages. Gradually reduce this extrinsic feedback to promote independence. So, and more dependence on intrinsic feedback. How about the incorrect answers? Tactile feedback. This will be used more in early stages for guidance and should be decreasing over time. And in this question, the patient already progressed. Visual feedback. It is also important initially. Mirrors, demonstrations will be reduced, and the patient will rely less on external feedback. Verbal feedback, and this is high during the cognitive stage. I am explaining in the beginning, okay, this is a dry steering wheel, this is a brake, this is where you can start the car, a lot of information, what to do, okay? So should fade or be reduced as a skill becomes more automatic later on. So as a rule of thumb, as patients improve, should be decreased extrinsic feedback and encouragement of more intrinsic feedback. Okay, we are using faded feedback schedule. It means that we gradually will take this feedback down and down until it disappears to avoid dependency, because we are encouraging independence in motor learning anyway. So as learning progresses, feedback should be progress from extrinsic, which include tactile, visual, verbal, to intrinsic feedback from the muscle, spindle, joint, receptors, and the patient's body. If you would like to join my PT license exam preparation course, please send me a message on WhatsApp number 00144224877206 or 00201027743702. Also, if you would like to apply and join the transitional DPT at University of Montana in United States, it is an online program of studying. Also, drop me a message and I will send you the details and the paperwork required will help you to get a discount and join the program. I have got a recent question from candidate, and I always like to answer these questions. So please wait for the answer of these questions. More content related to the PT license preparation, more content related to the career and how to work abroad as a physical therapist. Please, join and subscribe to the channel and encourage your colleagues, either graduates or students, to join. Would be much appreciated. Thank you so much for watching me and listening to my content, and see you soon in a new video.